Well, I finished my drunk story. I hate telling that, it always makes me upset. But it is true, and I am a drunk, although I haven't had a drink in 34 years. That's the only thing I got going for me. But here's the thing about after that story, after I quit drinking. And this part is called Harry Carry. Failed samurai must commit Harry Carry. It's a Japanese tradition. You got to put yourself away. So here we go. Way back in 1972, I was inspired to do the honorable political thing after the census case. I quit politics to save both friends of mine and the party and our business. I took the heat. I committed political, social suicide. I knew I had embarrassed loyal party Republican czars, who I loved, the Turks, who I loved, they were like brothers and sisters, the crazies, who I adored, the General Powells, who I liked, and everybody else of influence. I spent a lifetime pissing them off, and I understood why they were, and I didn't blame any of them. As a swan song, and my last shot at a role of celebrity political leadership, I ran for Republican state chairman. Trying to recoup the reputation as a leader I had lost. But I couldn't get anyone substantial to back my side. Some of the old gang helped, but I lost at the convention. I knew my time had come for Harry Carey. And as a samurai, and I take that serious, I decided on full restitution. Quitting politics and the party was the only logical, decent thing left to do, and the only way to exit this consciousness of politics forever. I had to quit completely. I decided to run for a new dollhouse term or a Senate district carved out especially by Mike Harkins. I quit party politics to prove I was really out, and I refused to run for anything ever again. I was secretly registered as a Democrat, and nobody found out about it for about 6 months. That's how I got out of politics. 6 months later, Ralph Moyed is his last name, the now friendly columnist from the caucus night that I told you about way back when, who became eventually a trusted personal friend after the trial, found out about it. He discovered the switch at the Department of Elections. He called me up, and after I explained my real purpose for quitting, he actually saw the wisdom of it, and he wrote a very funny column entitled, "Tommy Finally Came Home," with a quote about my doing penance for 12 years. I told Willie, Larry, and Mike, I was a Republican for 12 years. I'm doing 12 years penance as a Democrat. Hell, the cure can't be any worse than the disease. Grinned, laughed like hell, and totally dropped out of political sight. In the non-political 70s, the only politician who even noticed my existence was the United States Senator William V. Roth, Republican of Delaware, a very close, private, personal friend. Bill was always intrigued by my original national retirement plan. We talked about it all the time at his home in Greenville on Friday afternoons with his other political intimates. And we also talked about it on the train together when he was going to Washington, when he assigned me to work with James Brady, who was in his Senate office in D.C., the guy who was shot by Hinckley during the attempt on Reagan. James Brady and I worked together setting up a new constitutional convention, a plan. I met Jim working on the Panama Canal Treaty Committee, another project Bill assigned to me. We had many drinks together and we got along just great for two different types of warriors. But I trusted him, and he liked me, and he listened. Eventually, he independently, this is Bill, on his own steam, without any prompting from me, introduced the idea of my national retirement plan to the entire country, and it is now called the IRA, or Individual Retirement Accounts. He wanted them for everybody, including housewives. He insisted that Tom and Jerry both testify in Senate hearings about their national retirement experience in Delaware. We knew by then that we were all through in the pocketbook, but the national idea was worth pursuing, and something about that made both of us feel good. We loved it, and so did they, in the Senate hearings. I loved Bill personally. I worked on his first campaign for Congress way back in the 60s, but couldn't understand or agree with him politically, nor did I try. To me, he was just plain Bill, the conservative, the big-time corporate lawyer before entering politics, and he ran for U.S. Congress in '66 in the face of a pending Republican disaster, but he won. Delaware loved Bill Roth and his conservative politics, and he kept on winning. For 12 years out in the political cold, I had publicly and privately helped Bill, especially with the unions. I was a sincere go-between between them and Bill, and both trusted me. I did not help any other Republican campaign through my non-political years. I didn't trust a single one of them, and I still don't, by the way. And I was now hearing the true Republican leaders' betrayal stories about me from all the Democrats who started true personal friendships with me, and they cut me in on all the stories. Although I was invited to be a sergeant in arms on the stage at 2 Democratic conventions. I actually was on the stage as a sergeant in arms at Democratic conventions. I never officially participated in any decision making in the Democratic Party. I knew I wasn't welcome. I didn't feel very welcome anywhere in those days. Plus, I also knew I probably would never be made welcome. So, it was no big deal for me, and that closed out my political career.